Good afternoon. It's Chill Friday here in California, and I wanted to introduce to you what my husband made for his
Workmate 400.
Oh, Workmate 400. Okay, let's try again. Good afternoon. It's Chill Friday here in California, and I wanted to introduce to you what my husband made for his Workmate 400.
I'm John, and welcome to Bright Spark Ideas. This is my latest project, adding a Kreg pocket hole storage device to my Workmate 400. I'm going to tell you all about it and how I made it. Let's get started. Okay, I just want to do a quick overview of what I've done so far. So I'm only using offcuts from my last project, and I didn't have a lot of 3/4 plywood, but I had enough to make, this was 24 inches wide, but it wasn't actually wide enough for the Workmate, so it's a bit short. But what I've done is another piece of wood from an outdoor project. I put this along the bottom. I'm just held that on there with 3 screws right now, and that's going to be how I clamp this bottom base. By cranking up the handles here, I can clamp this onto here, and it comes flush with the edge of the Workmate. This is going to be the top, and these are, let's see, they're about 12 inches. Yeah, 12 inches. So it was 24 inch wide board, cut it down in half, so it's just under 12 inches. And on top of here, this is where my trusty Kreg pocket hole tool is going to go. And all I'm doing is I'm just lining that up. Mark the center, line this up so it's nice and flush. We'll screw that down when I'm ready. I've also cut a couple of pieces for the sides. These will be the 2 side pieces. They'll actually go on the bottom board. This is going to be the top. So these are going to be my 2 sides. And then I ran out of 3/4, but I've glued 3 half-inch pieces of plywood together. Gives me 1.5 inches. That's going to go right in the middle here, right underneath where I'm going to put the Kreg tool. So that's going to make it nice and stable when I'm pushing down on there. So why don't I set this up, do the pocket holes, and put this together, then we'll put the back on and go from there. Okay, alright guys, try not to laugh. This is how I've been doing my pocket holes on this dirty old board, clamped down to my workbench. It's all going to change. So I've set the Kreg tool in place. I'm on 3/4 here, set that correctly. I'm on 3/4 here, I've set that correctly, but I've screwed up before, so I just tend to, just to make sure, do a quick test and make sure that I've got this set up. And yep, there we go. Nice little pocket hole. Just perfect. Look at that. Okay, so we're good on that piece of scrap. Now what we need to do is do the sides. And I'm just going to have my jig line up for me where I'm going to have the holes. So I'm going to put 3 pocket holes. So I'm just going to center this up. I already set that for the width of the board. That's where my center is going to be. Line that up here. Done. Okay, 3 nice pocket holes, ready to go. Let me just whip through these others. You don't need to watch every one, and we'll move on. Okay, so when I came to the 1.5 inch, I put my 3 pocket holes this side, and I've just put a couple of extra ones over on this side. They're kind of offset from where these ones are. It'll just give me that nice rock solid centerpiece that I'm looking for. Okay, so far so good. If you seen my previous video where I added this Irving vise to my workbench, if you haven't seen it, it's worth looking at. Take a look. I think it's called Workmate 400 Upgrade, and I add a woodworking vise here, and I add an engineering vise there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use that piece of scrap that I had previously. I'm going to pop it into the vise, and I'm going to use it as a stop. And basically I'm just going to move my board down here and use my clamps to clamp this on here. So it's sitting up against. Okay, hopefully you can see that. This is now flush up against here, and this is going to be the stop for my board here, because there's a tendency when you put these pocket holes in, it shifts the board backwards. So hopefully that is going to work. I'm going to be using the Kreg 1.25 inch screws, and these are the coarse thread on the plywood. And I'm going to add some glue, and let's get this done. Now, you probably don't need to add glue. It's probably not necessary, but I've been doing this for years, and I just got used to adding some glue. The pocket holes themselves, the pocket hole screws are pretty good. But this is going to get moved around a lot. Probably even going to hang it up somewhere at some point. I don't think it's going to get a lot of twisting and turning, but it might, so I might just as well add the glue. Okie dokie. See if I can do this backwards so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's take a look. Alright, I did get a little bit of kickback there. Obviously, I wasn't pushing that hard enough up against there. If you can see that, there's a little edge there where it pushed back further than I wanted it to. I think I need to try and see if I do a better job on this side here. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can do a better job on this side. I've moved where the clamps are to see whether or not that helps. So hopefully, if this improves it, you can learn by my mistakes. And if this was a piece of furniture, I would definitely take that off and start again. Seeing as it's going to be for my Kreg tool here, I think I'm just going to leave that side and just moan about it every time I use it, because I would definitely do that. Every time I use this, I'm going to go, oh, look at that. Okay, this one is much better, so hopefully you've learned by my mistake there, and obviously where I was clamping it was not holding it hard enough up against my backstop here. So, alright, my bad, and as I said, I'm just going to leave that one alone and just moan about it every time I use this board. Alright, let's put the center one in. Okay, let's put this center one in. Let's see. I'll set this up so that I can measure exactly where the center of this piece fits, and it's right here. Yep, that's good enough. Marked my center of the board here, so this can go on here. And I'm just going to use my square here to set that up. Okay, let's mark a couple of lines here. Alright, that should do it. Okay, so save you the pain of watching me set this up. I've basically used my corner clamps here to hold the centerpiece. If I'd had some offcuts, I could have just basically put a couple down in here and used that to be my stop to hold this, but my clamps work pretty good, so we're just going to use those for the centerpiece. It also makes sure that my piece is at the right angle, which is pretty good. All right, job done. Let's take a look and see what we got here. All right. Let's get that lined up, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some screws in from the bottom here because nobody's going to see it. It's going to be sitting in the bottom. I'll countersink them so they don't get in the way. Probably glue them, and that'll be first part of this done. Okay, I just used a scrap bit of wood to give me a couple of guidelines here, but I'm going to just come along here and use my gauge to give me some centers here for where I'm going to drill my holes. And just going to put a couple of holes along the side there. Okay, let me just speed through this because you really don't need to agonize through this. So I'm going to use my favorite screws for going into plywood. You can see I put my corner clamps on. Alright, they're nicely recessed. I'll move over and do the other side. Not a perfect job, but not too bad. Alright, let's go to stage 2. Okay, so just gonna put this back in place, and I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to put some drawers in here, and I kind of half thought about it prior to doing this. I didn't make a plan, and I kind of did this kind of as I went along. There was no real plan other than that I would make it big enough to put my Kreg screws in here, and my box that houses this Kreg thing in here. But I think let's make some drawers and put in here. I think that would finish it off. Also got to do the back as well. Mustn't forget the back. Okay, so we had a little move around because the camera's facing into the evening sun, so I don't know how much shadow that was causing, but this was my original idea. This is my Kreg box that this fits in with my other pieces. And I thought that would fit in there nicely, and also a place for my screws. But I'm thinking that maybe, of course, if I'd had the wider piece of wood, I could have probably made it where I could have had a place to put all the drills and things in there as well. But it is what it is. So if guys, you're going to make this a little bit wider to fit on the workbench, that'll give you a little bit of extra space, I think. And you might not want to use this. I might make a drawer instead of using this. I might make a drawer in here and just put dividers in there to put all my drills and maybe some extra packs of screws. Haven't figured that out yet. Probably let's just make the back first and then make some drawers. Okay, let's get the back on. All I did was take a little piece of 1/4 inch ply that I had and ripped it down 28 inches wide and 5 inches high, and I'm just going to pop that on there. It's over a little bit so that I can just sand down any extra, and let's do a little bit of a clamp here. Alright, I'm just going to finish off. Right, before I make the drawers, I forgot. I was going to add these, and once again I've just used some scrap wood. It doesn't fit on here lengthwise perfectly because it came from a 24 sheet. And all this is a couple of 1/2 inch, because I had no 3/4 left, but I did have some 1/2 inch. So I basically glued these two pieces of 1/2 inch together. I then took it over to my router and routed out a 3/4 inch by 3/8 deep slot. And I'm going to put some Kreg slides in here. And if I ever need to clamp anything, I can put them on the slat on there and clamp it down. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I just thought it was a good idea. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two pieces on here before I even think about the drawers, because I've got to rummage around and see how much wood I've got left to make drawers. I really don't want to go to Home Depot, so let's see what I've got. But anyway, let's get these on. It's getting late. Let's see if we can get those on, and we'll do the drawers maybe tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to line this part up here so it's just this side of the face here, and it will be back far enough for me to lay any piece of wood that I want on here. So let me just measure that there. Alright, let's just use that. Alright, that's going to be my front edge. Alright. What should we do? Glue them down? Maybe boom boom. You know, it's getting late. I don't think I want to get my... Oh yeah, I'm going to call it an evening, and we'll do this tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so here we are where we left off last night. We're going to put the wings on here, which is going to allow me to have wider pieces of board and not have it tip and wobble around. So we're going to put those on. I'll put the tracks on afterwards. You know, last night I decided not to go ahead and do it because I have wonderful neighbors next door, and they have a new little baby in the house, and my compressor and the bang bang banging, not a good idea. So I was thinking about it. I probably don't even need to shoot nails in here. I'm just going to glue these down, leave them while I go do something else. Okay, let's take these away. Do my exercises later. Alright, I smoothed off this front edge while you guys weren't looking before I stuck them down. Well, this looks pretty good. Alright, I'm going to take this off of here, and I'm just going to cut the T-track and pop it in there so the top piece is done, and then when I finish up the drawers we'll be able to put those in. Alright, safety goggles on, line that up. I'm going to put the T-track down with these number 6 screws. Because I've got a nice thick piece here, I can use 1/2-inch screws, which is going to be perfect. In the past I've had to use 3/8, I think, to... Alright. Should be good. Just going to make a little starter here. I won't go too deep. Using a self-centering drill bit here. And I'm not going to use my drill to put these down. I tend to find that I have a tendency to strip these out if you're not careful. This soft plywood, that should do it nicely. Yeah, I've used my driver in the past, and it's ended up with my screws spinning because it's just a little too aggressive. But this should do this nicely. Now, if you're wondering why I'm bothering to put the T-track down, I thought it might be a good idea so that I could use a stop. Quite often I'm doing the same length or holes in exactly the same place over and over again, and usually it doesn't need to be too accurate, but I just thought it'd be nice to put a stop on there that I can bring over and use it to have the same thing again over and over again. Anyway, so that's a T-track down. This is nearly finished. Just got to get these drawers in. Okay, I'm just going to rip off the ends of these 1/2 inch ply to make the drawers. I do have some 1/2 inch left over, so that's good. Okay, that's my 4 front and backs of the drawers. Let's do the sides. Alright, just reset my stop here for the sides, and that looks about right. Okay. Alright, now I've got my 4 sides. The only thing I need to do now is set it up on my router, and we're just going to do a very simple little groove along here to take some 1/4 inch ply for the base. And I hope I've got enough of that. As I said, I really don't want to go to Home Depot. Okay, I set my router bit up at 3/16. That's going to give me the depth that the plywood is going to go into the drawer sides and front. I'm going to do a test piece first, and I'm going to probably, let's see here. Going to give it a try and see if that's going to work. Let's just do it on a test piece here and see if that's going to work. Okay, that's close to the bottom, but not too bad. I have a feeling that that's going to work. All right. Alright, before I call it an evening, the glue on the drawer has dried. So this is a very basic, as you can see, very basic 1/2 inch ply, and I put 1/4 inch ply in the bottom. I think I've got a second piece so I can do the other drawer tomorrow. A couple of nails in the ends here. I put this way around so that the pulling on here, if I've got a heavy load in here, will be less than if I'm pulling it this way around. So hopefully that's going to work, but I don't think I'm going to have too much heavy. And I don't want to push that right in because I don't have a screw there, but that should work just nicely. Put a face on there and put some oil on top of here, and I think we've got a finished product. Here's a quick view of how I'm putting the drawers together. So I put some extra grooves in here. This is going to be where I'm going to put a couple of slots, and I can use that for holding the boxes of the Kreg screws. And all I've done is just basically glued them together, used my corner supports to hold them in place, and just added 3 little brad nails in here. And as soon as that's dry, I can cut the base out of the last piece of plywood that I have, 1/4 inch ply, and I'll pop that in and glue up the front, and then I can make the fronts of the drawers. I cut my last piece of 1/4 inch ply that I had, and I'm going to just pop that, cut it to size, pop it in there, and I'm now going to add the back or the front, whichever way you look at it. And I will, if I've got some bits left over, I'll cut in and add a couple of separators here. But I'm just going to do the same thing I did before and put these into my jig here and glue it up. Okay, just cut my dividers, and that looks like that's going to be perfect. And all I need to do now is find out whether my extra screws are going to fit in there. Let's go get a box and check. Oh, look at that. Okay, that'll work. And actually, I'll put it this way around. Put it in there. I now have space to put my drills and my drivers. Okay, let's put some fronts on these. Alright, ready to do the draw fronts. However, I didn't have enough 3/4 or 1/2 inch ply, but I found a piece of, I guess it's Popular, and it's 3/4 inch thick and it's 5.5 inches wide. So I'm using that. What I did was cut off a couple of pieces, and I did actually just trim this down 1/16 because I don't want it to catch when I'm pushing the drawer in and out on the bottom of what it's on the workbench. I've just put a quick coat of polyurethane over it, and I'm going to now put the drawer fronts, drawer pull on. So this is going to go on here. Now I usually don't have any problems setting these up and putting the drawer pulls on, but just recently I purchased this. It's a hardware installation kit, and it comes with one of these that allows you to put on knobs and pulls. So for the very first time I'm going to use it. So here's the jig. It's pretty straightforward. You've got two places for the where you're going to drill your hole, and you adjust these by these two little knobs on the back here. I've set it up for 3 inches, which is the size of the pull, and this allows you to adjust the height so you can have this smack bang in the center of your piece. So this is going to be in the center here, and this little slot here allows you to find the center of here. So let's do the center of here first. The first thing to do is, this is 14 and an 1/8, so I've set this at 7 1/16. So we're going to mark a line here. Alright, and this is where we're going to set this up and drill my hole. So I've clamped the jig on here, centered here, and I've just clamped it to a piece of scrap wood because I'm going to try and minimize the amount of blowout at the back from the drill. And let's just clamp this down because it's a warped piece of wood underneath. And it requires a 3/16 bit in the drill for the hole. So let's see. I think that should be through to the other side. Let's check and see. These Kreg clamps also came with that kit that I showed you. So, first time using those too. Alright. Alright, not too bad. It just needs to go through a little bit more. And okay, that should be good. Gonna buff this out because I've marked my wood here, which wasn't very clever on my part. But alright, let's get this done. Okay, time to add the drawer fronts to the drawers. Now, I've made this so that it sits up a little bit high so it doesn't rub on the Workmate when I'm pulling the drawers open. So, let's see. No, that's not going to be enough. Not quite, okay. Alright. Sure, I think that's going to be enough. I don't think I need to go any higher than that. Okay. Let's just make sure this is reasonably centered. Okay, alright. That's to my outer edge. It's gonna not touch that one there. Alright, let's just clamp those right there. Yeah, unfortunately this poplar is warped, so no surprise there. Alright, that should be good. Now we can drill into here. It's probably going to have a blowout in the back, but that's okay. I can live with that. Okay, let's get the second one done. These shims are really handy. These are plastic shims. They're broad fix, flat shims. Comes with a pack of 60. I don't remember what I paid for them. I got them off of Amazon a long time ago. But they are really useful. Don't use them a lot, but when you need them, they are really handy. Just thought I would give them a plug. Okay, let's put the last screw in here. Of course, they give you screws that come with this, but two of them are too short and the other is of course too long, so I had to cut those down, but no big deal. So let's see, get that bottomed out there. I had very little blowout on the back of these, so that was good. All right. Tighten those up. Move the spacers. Okay. Now a little bit, I'm going to readjust that there. I think that looks pretty good, huh? All right. What I'm going to do now is probably take them off, put a little bit more on the front, especially where I marked it at the bottom here. I think I'll do some more polyurethane on there. All right, job done. I'm just going to use some 400 extra fine paper and just give this a real light sanding down between coats. I'm going to do a total of three coats. This is just give it a little bit of protection. So shouldn't need too much. Alright, here's the finished product. And I really apologize for this being such a lengthy video. It went on way longer than I anticipated. That's probably because I talked way too much. Hopefully you found it helpful. I now have a place to put my Kreg screws. I got a place to put those clamps. I got extra screws in here, place to put my drills and drivers. So that's everything that I wanted from this, and it fits perfectly on the Workmate 400, which was the real goal. I haven't used the stop, haven't used this yet, but maybe this will be helpful. I'm not quite sure. I'll let you know maybe in a later video. So guys, again, I apologize for this being so lengthy. If you managed to stay with me the whole way through, I appreciate it and I thank you for that. Give me a thumbs up if you felt this helpful. Give me a like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because that'll also notify you when I do other videos for this Workmate or for the Kreg. It's helpful for me because I'm 6'1", and this gives me a better height to work, so that's why I wanted it this high. I'm actually going to modify my Workmate a little bit more, so stay with me. Thank you.